The following is a Sunday feast lecture on the Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter number 9, text number 10, given by His Grace Shriman Sankarshan Das Adhikari, recorded on September 11th, 2011, in Burgas, Bulgaria.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Maya Dakshina Prakriti Suyate Sacharacharam Hetunanena Kunteya Jagadbi Parivartate Maya Dakshina Prakriti Suyate Sacharacharam Hetunanena Kunteya Jagadvi Parivartate. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. This material nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, producing all moving and non-moving beings. Under its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. Purport. It is clearly stated here that the Supreme Lord, although aloof from all the activities of the material world, remains the Supreme Director. The Supreme Lord is the Supreme Will and the background of this material manifestation. But the management is being conducted by material nature. Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita that of all the living entities in different forms and species, quote, I am the Father, unquote. The Father gives seeds to the womb of the mother for the child, and similarly, the Supreme Lord, by His mere glance, injects all the living entities into the womb of material nature, and they come out in their different forms and species according to their last desires and activities. All these living entities, although born under the glance of the Supreme Lord, take their different bodies according to their past deeds and desires. So the Lord is not directly attracted or attached to this material creation. He simply glances over material nature. Material nature is thus activated and everything is created immediately. Because He glances over material nature, there is undoubtedly activity on the part of the Supreme Lord, but He has nothing to do with the manifestation of the material world directly. The example is given in the Smriti when there is a fragrant flower before someone. The fragrance is touched by the smelling power of the person, yet the smelling and the flower are detached from one another. There is a similar connection between the material world and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Actually, He has nothing to do with this material world, but He creates by His glance and ordains. In summary, material nature without the superintendence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot do anything. Yet the Supreme Personality is detached from all material activities. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jata Barakamala Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadaitam Zavadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha. So, this is really helpful information to know who's behind everything. To not know what's going on, that could be the great disadvantage. If you don't know what's going on, how you can live in a meaningful way. Like a chicken with its head cut off. But if you actually know what's going on in the world, and you know what's behind the world, making it work, and you live your life in such a way that you're taking advantage of the reality, then you can have a really, really wonderful life. You can feel pretty good every day. If you understand what's going on behind the scenes, why is everything happening the way it's happening? So that's why this verse is a very important thing. To know who is that person who's behind the whole material energy. And understand what is his relationship with the material energy. That is powerful information. We're very fortunate we have this information. This is described by Krishna in same chapter, text number 2, chapter 9, text 2. He says, Raja Vidya Rajaguhyam. He said, this is the topmost knowledge, and at the same time, it's the best kept secret of all the secrets in the world. So if you can understand that Krishna is behind everything, you have access to the topmost secret knowledge available anywhere in the universe. Just like somebody who's buying and selling in the stock market. If they have inside information of what's going on in the market, they can make a huge profit. Similarly, one who has inside information of what's going on with the universe, and they act in accordance with that understanding,
според това свое разбиране.
They have a great advantage over everybody else in the whole world who's in ignorance.
Те имат много голямо предимство пред всички останали в света, които са в невежество.
Of course, it's not that such enlightened persons take advantage of others.
Естествено, това не означава, че една такава личност, която има знание, ще се възползва от това.
But the fact is, they have the greatest advantage over anybody in this world.
Но факт е, че те имат много голямо преимущество пред всички останали в света.
Even the most wealthy, famous, powerful people are disadvantaged compared to the Vaishnava.
Дори най-богатите, влиятелни и известни личности са в по-неблагоприятно състояние от Вайшнава.
The Vaishnava is in the most powerful position.
Един Вайшнава е в най-влиятелната, най-добрата изгодна позиция.
Because he's connected with that person who's empowering everything.
Защото той е свързан с личността, която дава енергия на всичко.
He has a direct connection with Krishna.
Той има директна връзка с Кришна.
Of course, everyone's connected with Krishna.
Разбира се, всички са свързани с Кришна.
But their connection is indirect.
Но връзката на останалите е недиректна.
Through the material nature.
Чрез материалната природа.
It's like a prisoner in the prison. He's connected with the government.
Както един затворник в затвора, той също е свързан с правителството.
But his connection with the government is not very nice.
Но неговата връзка с правителството не е много хубава.
He's in the prison.
Той е в затвора.
But one who is connected in the university,
Но някой, който, например, е в университета,
his connection is better.
Неговата връзка с правителството е много по-добра.
Because he's making very nice progress.
Защото той прогресира.
The prisoner, he's just being punished.
Затворникът той просто е наказан.
So those who don't realize that Krishna is the supreme,
Така че тези, които не реализират, не разбират, че Кришна е върховният,
they are still situated within his nature.
те все още са установени в своята собствена природа.
But they are being punished.
Всъщност те са наказани по този начин.
Not directly by Krishna.
Не директно от Кришна.
Just like Prabhupada gives the example here of the flower and the aroma.
Както Шрила Прабхупад дава този пример с цветето и аромата.
See, I can smell this flower,
Аз мога да помириша цветето,
but I'm not touching the flower.
но аз не го докосвам.
I'm disconnected from the flower even though I'm smelling it.
Аз нямам директна връзка с цветето, въпреки че мога да го помириша.
So in the same way, Krishna is connected with his material nature, but not connected with it.
В същия начин Кришна, той е свързан с материалната природа и в същото време не е свързан с нея.
So those who are connected with Krishna through his material nature, they don't have direct contact with the Lord.
Тези, които са свързани директно с материалната енергия, те нямат директен контакт с Бога.
Their direct contact is with the fourfold miseries.
Техният контакт директен е с четирите вида страдания.
Birth, death, old age, and disease. That's their contact.
Старост, болест и смърт.
And those who are directly connected with Krishna,
А тези, които са директно в контакт с Кришна,
they experience eternity, knowledge, and bliss.
те изпитват вечност, знание и блаженство.
So you have your choice, ladies and gentlemen.
Така че, дами и господа, всички вие имате вашия избор.
Would you prefer eternity, knowledge, and bliss? Or birth, death, old age, and disease?
Какво предпочитате? Вечно знание и блаженство или раждане, болест и старост и смърт?
What do you want?
Какво вие искате?
You want misery?
Искате страдание
Or do you want ecstasy?
или искате щастие, екстаз?
They say, oh, give me ecstasy.
Може човек да каже,
But let me enjoy my senses also.
щастие аз изпитвам, защото мога да си наслаждавам сетивата.
But that doesn't work.
Обаче това не работи.
Because sense enjoyment and spiritual ecstasy don't go well together.
Защото сетивното наслаждение и духовното наслаждение не вървят добре ръка за ръка.
You have to go one way or the other.
Трябва човек да си избере единия път или другия.
If you want darkness, you can't have light. And if you want light, there won't be any darkness.
И ако искаш да бъдеш на светло, тогава естествено, че няма да има тъмнина.
Material sense gratification is darkness.
Материалното сетивно наслаждение се сравнява с невежеството, тъмнината.
As soon as one comes into the light of Krishna consciousness, then one truly comes enlightened in Krishna consciousness, then one has no desire for sense gratification.
Веднага, щом като човек наистина попадне в светлината на Кришна съзнание, то естествено няма желание за сетивно материално наслаждение.
It's seen as a botheration,
Всъщност, на него това му се струва просто като едно притеснение.
a waste of time.
Губене на време.
If you can make advancement towards your eternal identity in the spiritual world,
Ако вие може да направите напредък и да разберете своята духовна същност,
why would you want to waste your time playing around in misery?
защо вие бихте искали да си губите времето в материалния свят, страдайки?
Once you get a taste for Krishna consciousness,
Веднъж след като сте получили вкус за Кришна съзнание,
material sense gratification is boring,
материалното сетивно наслаждение е скучно,
disgusting,
отвратително,
abominable.
много отвратително.
So people say, but I'm attached to material sense gratification.
Хората обаче казват, да, ама аз съм си привързан към моето сетивно наслаждение.
I wouldn't want to think that it's abominable. I mean,
Аз не мисля, че то е много отвратително.
It's like the pauper, he's very proud of his penny.
Както, например, един просек, той толкова много се гордае с своето пени, своята стотинка.
What is that in Bulgarian money? What penny?
Стотинка.
Sukinta?
Стотинка.
So anyway, you know what I mean. So he's very attached to that small coin, you see.
Така че той е толкова привързан към тази малка монета.
But the Vaishnava, you see, he has billions and trillions of money, monetary units.
Един Вайшнава, той има милиони, трилиони пари.
He's not
Богатство в ман.
a little child. If he sees a penny on the road, he immediately, oh, a penny, he'll pick it up. Oh, a penny.
Едно малко детенце, ако види една монета на улицата и веднага изима и казва, о, имам си монетка.
But a wealthy man, he sees a penny, he says, I wouldn't bother bending over to pick it up.
Но един богат човек, той види една стотинка на улицата и си казва, о, аз няма да си губя времето да се навеждам за да...
He has hundreds of dollars in his wallet, you see. A big wad of $100 bills in his wallet. A penny? I wouldn't bother bending over to pick it up.
В портфела си има стотици хиляди долари. Защо ще се занимава да се навежда за тези стотинки?
So for a devotee, material sense gratification is like a dirty penny lying in the street.
Така че за правилно дадения сетивното наслаждение е като едно пени, което лежи на улица.
I wouldn't want to bother picking it up.
Правилно дадение въобще не иска да се занимава, да се навежда и да го
Golokara prema dhana hari nama sankirtana. You see, this is called dhana, or wealth.
Това се нарича истинско богатство.
Prema dhana, the wealth of love of God.
Богатството на любовта към Бога.
This prema dhana, the supreme opulence, the supreme treasure of Krishna prem, Golokara has come from Goloka Vrindavan.
Това невероятно богатство на любовта към Бога, то е дошло директно от Голока Вриндаван.
How did it get here?
Как?
Who is the importing agent who brought it?
Коя е компанията, която го е вкарала тук в материалния свят?
Prabhupada explains that is Narad Muni.
Шива Прабхупада обяснява, това е Нарада Муни.
Narad Muni, he is an import agent.
Нарада Муни, той е агента, който е вкарал това богатство в материалния свят.
He has brought this Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare, to us here in this material world.
Всъщност той е вкарал тази мантра за нас тук в материалния свят.
Do you feel grateful to Narada Muni for bringing it?
Чувствате ли се задължени на Нарада Муни за
Are you glad that Narada Muni has brought it? Are you glad that Narada Muni has brought it?
че Нарада Муни е донесъл това?
Are you? Yes or no? Yes. All right. Narada Muni ki jai. So maybe if we show enough appreciation, maybe Narada Muni will come and reveal himself to us.
Може би ако
He's the original cosmonaut.
Той е изначалният космонавт.
Long before Yuri Gagarin circled the earth. You see.
Много преди Юрий Гагарин да обиколи Земята.
He's the original cosmonaut.
Той е изначалният космонавт.
Narad Muni.
Нарада Муни.
Yeah, Prabhupada sings a very nice bhajan by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Narada Muni bhajaya vina radhika ramana namine. He travels with a veena, this stringed instrument, and it's so that instrument is mystical. Just by plucking in the string, chung, everyone becomes inspired to sing and dance the holy names.
Шрила Прабхупад пее една песен, която описва Нарада Муни. Нарада Муни той потува със своя инструмент, една вина, която обаче е много специална. Защото само когато той веднъж изсвири на нейните струни и веднага всеки чувства голямо вдъхновение да започне да възпява святото име.
One day he stroked on his veena and Lord Shiva became so enlivened. Lord Shiva came up and hugged him, and Lord Shiva was singing and dancing the holy names.
Веднъж Нарада Муни започна да свири на своята вина и Бог Шива, той веднага започна да чувства голям екстаз и дошъл.
When Lord Brahma saw Lord Shiva dancing in ecstasy, he decided he would get into it also.
И започна да танцува в екстаз. Когато Бог Брахма видял как Шива танцува, и той се присъединил.
And then when Indra, the king of heaven, saw that Lord Shiva is dancing in ecstasy, Brahmaji is dancing, he got into it also.
И когато Индра видял как Шива и Брахма танцуват и двамата в екстаз,
And then all the demigods were singing and dancing the Sankirtan of Hari. And the whole universe vibrated with the holy names. So this is the great sage Narad Muni. He is so kindly brought us this Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. So, we can also become liberated. Just as Narada Muni became liberated, we can also become liberated. Narada Muni, he was a pop singer in the heavenly planets. He was singing love songs to all the heavenly damsels. He became like a beetle in the heavenly planets. And he got cursed for his nonsense. He became the son of a Shudra on the earthly planet, his next life. His mother, there was no father, only he lived with his mother in a small hut. But during the rainy season, the sages, they travel. You see, the sages like to travel, but during the rainy season, they stay in one place. So they were staying just near the house of Narad Muni, the little Sudra boy. Just like this little boy here, you see, little boy. So he would go into the forest where the sages were taking prasad and having their discourse. And somehow he would get the remnants from their plates, the Mahaprasad. You see. And in this way, just by getting the Mahaprasad of the Bhakti Vedantas, he became spiritually surcharged. And then his mother died from a snake bite. So he took the opportunity to become a sannyasi. A small boy, he wandered here and there all over the world. And then he became the great Narad Muni, the liberated spaceman. He can travel wherever he wants for preaching Krishna consciousness. He has complete access to any world he wants to, but in no time he can manifest there.
Той има пълен достъп до всяко едно място, където си пожелае и много бързо той може да отиде където си пожелае.
He doesn't require to fly on Air Bulgaria.
Няма нужда пътува с Air Bulgaria.
He can show up in Goloka Vrindavan, he can show up in Sofia, London, Brahmaloka, anywhere he wants, he can just come.
За мигове той може да бъде в Голока Вриндавана, в София, в Лондон, където си пожелае.
His mission is to give everyone Krishna consciousness.
Неговата мисия е да дава на всички Кришна съзнание.
So we're very indebted to this Narad Muni,
Така че ние сме много задължени на този Нарада Муни,
the liberated spaceman.
великият космонавт.
So if you will take this chanting process very seriously,
Така че ако вие приемете този процес
regularly chant these names,
сериозно и редовно повтаряте тези имена,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. If you regularly chant these names every day,
ако регулярно повтаряте тези имена всеки ден,
you will have a transformation within your heart.
вие ще усетите трансформация във вашето сърце.
You realize your identity beyond Bulgaria.
Вие ще разберете вашата самоличност отвъд това, че сте българин.
You are not always a Bulgarian.
Вие не сте били винаги българин.
Only in this lifetime are you a Bulgarian.
Само сега в този живот сте българин.
You're originally a Krishnian.
Оригинално, изначално, вие сте всъщност,
You're a resident of Krishna Loka,
вие сте жител на Кришна Лока,
but you forgot.
но сте забравили.
And now you're thinking, oh, I am Bulgarian.
И сега вие си мислите, аз съм българин,
I'm a man.
аз съм мъж.
I'm a woman. This is Maya.
Това е Майя.
You have nothing to do with this body.
Вие нямате нищо общо с
Male body, female body, Bulgarian body. You have nothing to do with it.
тяло, женско тяло, българско тяло. Вие нямате нищо.
You're a Krishnian,
Вие всъщност сте Кришни.
an eternal resident of Krishna's transcendental abode.
Вечен жител на обителта на Кришна.
And the great sages come to this world to deliver you back to your eternal identity in the spiritual sky.
И великите мъдреци идват на този свят, за да могат да ти помогнат да разбереш изначалната си същност на духовна същност.
So you need to discipline yourself to become resituated in your original identity.
За да може да постигнете вашата изначална същност, вие трябва да станете дисциплинирани.
At the present moment, we are so conditioned by this material nature
В момента ние сме толкова обусловени от тази материална природа,
that immediately we think, I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm a Bulgarian. Immediately we for 1 minute we think, yeah, I'm a spirit soul, and then we come back again to the bodily consciousness.
в момента ние сме толкова много обусловени, че веднага започваме да си мислим, аз съм мъж, аз съм жена, аз съм българин.
So to become permanently situated in Brahman realization, understanding I'm not the body, requires discipline.
За да може да разберем, че аз съм браман, аз съм духовно живо същество, не съм това тяло, това изисква дисциплина.
This is why we give up illicit sex life,
Затова ние изоставяме незаконния сексуален
meat eating,
месоядството,
intoxication, and gambling.
интоксикантите и хазарт.
You don't need these for good health.
Нямате нужда от тези неща, за да бъдете здрави.
Actually, they're bad for your health.
Всъщност те са изключително лоши за вашето здравословно
The
състояние.
more you indulge in these activities, the more you become sick, and the more you die an untimely early death.
Колкото повече вие правите тези неща, толкова повече здравето ви се влошава и по-скоро ще трябва да умрете.
So even from a material point of view, the more you can give up these activities, you become healthy and you'll live a long life.
Така че дори от материална гледна точка, ако човек изостави тези неблагоприятни дейности, вие ще бъдете по-здрави и ще имате по-дълъг живот.
What to speak of the spiritual benefit?
А какво да говорим за духовната полза?
Because by practicing these 4 regulative principles,
Защото чрез практикуването на тези 4 религиозни принципи,
along with chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra,
плюс възпяването на Хари Кришна Махамантра,
you become fully realized in your spiritual identity.
вие напълно ще реализирате своята духовна същност.
You'll actually become perfect. You'll actually realize who you are.
Всъщност ще станете съвършен, ще разберете кой наистина сте вие.
I'm the eternal servant of Krishna.
Аз съм вечен слуга на Кришна.
You become fully, solidly situated in that realization. I'm the eternal servant of Krishna.
Вие ще станете напълно установен в това разбиране. Аз съм вечен слуга на Кришна.
Now I know who I am.
Сега аз ще знам кой съм.
Now I know the purpose of my existence.
Ще разберете каква е целта на вашето същество.
Now I can live in perfect harmony with the ultimate truth at every second.
Сега мога да живея в съвършена хармония с абсолютната истина всяка секунда.
And that, my dear ladies and gentlemen,
И това, мои скъпи дами и господа,
is beautiful.
това е прекрасно.
And you can have it.
И може да го имате.
You can live in it
Може да живеете
at every second.
всяка секунда.
That is called Krishna consciousness.
Това се нарича Кришна съзнание.
So now I can ask if there's any questions.
Сега, ако имате някакви въпроси, може да питате. How to get free from our karma
Yeah.
and how not to make a new karma.
Yes, how to get free from our karma and how to not make new karma. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, text number 66.
Кришна казва в Бхагавад Гита, 18 глава, текст 66.
Saradharman padityaja mamekang sharanang vraja ahang tvang sarvapapebhyo mokshiyashami ma shuchaha. He says, give up all other duties and just surrender to me as your only duty.
Кришна казва, просто изостави всички други задължения, които имаш,
I will deliver you from all of your sinful reactions.
и ми се отдай напълно. Аз ще те защитя от всички твои греховни реакции.
Do not fear.
Не дай да се страхуваш.
So, karma and sinful reactions, they same thing.
Така че карма и греховни реакции, това е същото нещо.
So if you surrender to Krishna, then all your karma, you're free from it.
И ако човек се отдаде на Кришна, цялата му карма е свършена.
And then if you will follow these principles that I just mentioned, no illicit sex, no meeting, no intoxication, no gambling.
И ако следваш тези 4 принципа, които споменах, не на незаконния секс, не на хазарта, не на интоксикантите, не на яденето на
And you regularly chant the holy names,
и регулярно повтаряш святите имена,
you won't create any new karma.
тогава няма да правиш нова карма.
You'll be protected.
Ще бъдеш протектиран.
So that's all you have to do.
Това е всичко, което трябва да правиш.
Follow these principles and chant Hare Krishna.
Следвай тези принципи и повтаряй Хари.
And you'll be a liberated soul.
И ще станеш освободена душа.
We want you to do that. We want you to become liberated.
Ние искаме да направиш това, искаме да станеш освободен.
Join the liberated family.
Присъедини се към свободното семейство.
Are you chanting Japamala regularly?
Дали повтаряш на Джапа Мала тази мантра понякога? No, only here.
Well, this is a good beginning. You come here, you have a Bhagavad Gita as it is at home.
Имаш ли тази книга вкъщи? No.
The first step is you purchase a copy of this Bhagavad Gita and you study it very carefully. That's your first step.
Първото най-важно нещо, ако можеш да си вземеш едно копие от тази книга Бхагавад Гита и внимателно да я изучиш.
Keep coming here, attending the classes, and read this book very carefully, whole thing cover to cover.
Идвай тук, продължай да посещаваш тези занимания и се опитай дълбоко да разбереш тази книга.
These are the words of the greatest spiritual master in the history, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada.
Това са коментарите на най-великия духовен учител в цялата история на човечеството, Шрила Прабхупада.
Just by reading his words, he will bless you with the power to get free from your karma.
Просто четейки неговите думи, това ще ти даде достатъчно сила да се освободиш от твоята карма.
So you read this Bhagavad Gita very carefully, and then that will give you the inspiration and the empowerment to take up this process seriously.
Чети просто тази книга много внимателно и това ще ти даде вдъхновението и силата да можеш да започнеш много сериозно да практикуваш този процес.
And our representative here, Nitai Chandra Prabhu, he will guide you how to. You're in contact with her?
Аз лично...
You know who she is?
Yes, I know.
Okay.
Това е моя представител тук, Нитай Чандра Прабhu, той лично ще те води и ще ти помага.
He will guide you how to become a pure devotee of Krishna.
Той ще те води и ще ти дава наставление
You become completely free from all of your karma.
Напълно освободен от всички карми.
Any other questions? Oh. Are you going? Can you purchase one today? How much?
Вземаш една книга, Бхагавад Гита. We can find from Shtanu Prabhu later and give.
Oh, you don't have any right now.
We don't have. We distribute all Bhagavad Gita.
They were all sold out. So they sold out, so they're going to have to get one for you. So as soon as they get one, yeah.
We will find.
Okay. Okay, next question.
Други въпроси?
Prema Manjari.
Може ли кой се? This is a question from other woman, but Prema Manjari is asking this. This woman, there are many people who took different things from this woman, like money and different things.
What, did they get money from her?
They borrow.
Oh, they borrow.
So this woman feels some heaviness from this kind of association. So this woman, she doesn't know what to do. If she had to take everything back, or she just had to forget about all these things and continue.
To lend is to lose. When you lend something, you lose it. Tell her that to lend is to lose. If she doesn't mind losing the money, then go ahead and lend it. But now she's crying that she's lost the money, right? Hmm?
Yeah, she doesn't know what she has to do.
Well,
according to the laws of karma, there will be some reactions, so she's wondering whether she'll get reactions for giving.
oh. Well, actually, she borrowed money from them in a previous lifetime, and they didn't pay them back, so now that's also... But in terms of law of karma, a devotee should never give anything for material sense gratification to anyone. Is this person Krishna conscious? No. Well then, her inquiries don't make any... The first thing is she should inquire how to become Krishna conscious. Otherwise, what good is her inquiry? It's a waste of time. We're not meant to answer all these psychological questions. We're meant to guide people how to become Krishna conscious. Because if you're Krishna conscious, then all of these things are answered immediately. If you're not Krishna conscious, no matter what you do, you're going to be confused and bewildered in this material world. If she lends the money, she'll lament that she's not getting it back. If she doesn't lend the money, she'll feel guilty that she's being greedy. So if you're not Krishna conscious, you're not going to win. No matter what you do, you're going to be a loser. But if you're Krishna conscious, you'll understand this money belongs to Krishna. It should only be used for Krishna conscious purposes, and then your mind is peaceful.
Но ако си Кришна осъзнат, тогава човек разбира, тези пари принадлежат на Кришна и няма значение как постъпваш, винаги ще бъдеш спокоен.
Such questions don't make any sense.
Такъв тип въпроси нямат никакъв смисъл.
Tell her first become Krishna conscious, and then you understand everything will become clear.
Трябва да кажеш на тази жена, че първо трябва да стане Кришна осъзната и тогава всичко ще си даде на място.
Any other questions? Yeah.
Today in the morning, you said that if we want to be first-class Krishna conscious persons, we have to render first-class devotional service to Krishna. What if we are giving the best from ourselves, but still this is not first-class service?
Well, then you have to improve it. That's all. If your service is third class, then at least come up to second class. If your service is second class, then you should strive for first class. Any material thing. It's like a guitar player, for example. He's always trying to improve his guitar playing. Or why guitar? Madanga player. Anyone who plays Madanga, they're always trying to become better, get that new beat, and get that new... But they, make it better and better for Krishna. So what's the difficulty? You don't want to improve your service? Why you don't want to improve your service? Simply, whatever you're doing, always try to make it better. Yeah? If you're stupid, what to do if you're stupid? Well, if you're a stupid fool, try to become less stupid fool. A little bit less stupid, and a little bit less stupid. And as you become less and less stupid, gradually you become a little bit wise. And then you become a little bit more wise. And that day will come when you become completely enlightened sage like Narada Muni. You can do it, Guru Bhakti. By the mercy of Guru and Krishna, you can become an enlightened sage. Simply you have to always try to improve every day. Okay? Jai. Any other questions? Nitai Chandra.
We heard we shouldn't lend to anyone anything, but at the same time he heard from Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada said in some place that if someone asks from Vaishnava something, he has to give him something, at least few paisa, few coins. So how to understand this?
Prabhupada said you have to give money away?
I have heard that from Mahendra Prabhu.
How much are you supposed to give away? Give money away to people? Few coins. For beggars, Sometimes a beggar we do that. But it's like in Vrindavan, sometimes we give beggar.
За простиците, например, понякога ние правим това, както например в Вриндавана, там има простици и ние даваме някакви монети.
If they're saintly.
Ако те обаче са святи личности.
We don't give it some bum on the street who's going to go buy some cigarettes.
Ние не даваме на някой просто който е на улицата, който след това ще да си купи цигари.
Just like one time a very renounced sadhu in Vrindavan approached me. It was very cold at night. He said, "Can you buy me a blanket?"
Както веднъж аз бях в Вриндаван и един саду дойде при мен, обърна се към мен и каза, може ли ми купиш едно одеяло?
So I immediately took him to the blanket wala, the blankets shop, and I said, "You pick out whatever blanket you like, I'll buy it for you."
И аз веднага го заведох пред един продавач на одеяла и казах, избери си каквото искаш, аз ще го купя заради теб.
So I was very happy to buy that sadhu a blanket. He needed a blanket at night. It was very cold.
И аз бях толкова щастлив да му купя на одеяло, защото той наистина имаше нужда, беше студено вече.
But just to give money away to people who are going to use it for sense gratification, that's bad karma.
Просто ако даваш пари на хора, които ще ги използват за сетивно наслаждение, това ще донесе лоша карма.
If they use your money for sense gratification, you share in their sinful reactions.
Те използват твоите пари за сетивно наслаждение и вие си поделяте греховните реакции по този начин.
So sometimes we can help a beggar if they're saintly.
Така че понякога ние можем да помогнем на простите, ако те обаче са святи личности.
Okay? All right, next question.
Други въпроси?
Yes.
Как да сме сигурни, че ще се върнем в духовния свят? Този живот.
How can we be sure that we will go back to the spiritual world after this lifetime?
The way to be sure that you're going to go back to the spiritual world after this lifetime is to have one desire only, and that's to please Guru and Krishna.
Трябва да имаме само едно единствено желание да удовлетворим Гуру и Кришна.
If you have any other desires, well, you're not going to make it.
Ако имаме някакви други желания, няма да го направим.
So just make that your only desire to please Guru and Krishna,
Направи това твоето единствено желание да удовлетвориш Гуру.
and then you're guaranteed to go back.
И тогава е сигурно, че ще се върнеш на
If you have any material desires, Krishna will be very kind. He'll let you take birth again to fulfill them.
Ако имаш някакви други материални желания, понеже Кришна е много милостив,
I really wanted a Mercedes-Benz.
ще те остави да се родиш и да си ги изпълниш. Например, ако си кажеш,
I was cultivating Krishna Bhakti, but I had this desire I could be driving a nice, brand new Mercedes down the street.
аз култивирам Кришна Бхакти, обаче си имам и това желание да си имам един хубав Мерцедес.
Then Krishna will kindly, all right, let you come back and have a Mercedes.
Тогава Кришна ще каже, окей, ще ти дам още един шанс да се родиш и да имаш такъв Мерцедес.
So you have to have one desire and one desire only, simply to please Guru and Krishna.
Така че трябва да имаме едно единствено желание, просто да удовлетворим Гуру.
And then you can be sure that when you leave your body, you're going to wake up with Krishna in the spiritual world.
Това е начинът да бъдем сигурни, че след като напуснем тялото си, отиваме при Кришна в духовния свят.
So now you do that.
Сега ти направи това.
You have no desire except to please Guru and Krishna. Only
Трябва
desire.
да имаш друго желание, освен Кришна.
Okay? Other question? Yes.
Как можем да отличим едно истинско учение от едно лъжливо учение? Понеже сега, както са навъдели много, всеки казва, ела при мен е истината, а другите ги остави. Това не е въпрос.
Very simple question. How can we differentiate between the true teachings and the wrong teachings? Because now there are so many places which you go there and they tell you only we are the real people and everyone else is not real.
So very good question. Thank you.
Много хубав въпрос.
How do you distinguish between the real teaching and the false teachings?
Как да направим разликата между истинското и фалшивото учение?
Well, the first point is truth is one.
Първото нещо, което човек трябва да разбере, че истината е
There is a truth.
има истина.
There is an absolute truth.
Има абсолютна истина.
There is such a thing.
Има такова нещо.
Some people say there is no absolute truth. It's all relative. But that's not true.
Някои хора казват, няма абсолютна истина. Всичко е относително.
There is an absolute truth.
Но това не е истина. Има абсолютна истина.
So how do you find that teacher who's giving you the absolute truth?
Как да намериш учител, личност, която да ти даде тази абсолютна?
How do you find that scripture that's giving you the absolute truth?
Как да намериш писания, текстове, които ти дават тази абсолютна истина?
The first requirement is you have desire to find that absolute truth.
Първото условие е, че ти самия трябва да имаш силно желание, за да намериш тази абсолютна истина.
If you're more interested in being cheated, then you will find a cheater who will misguide you.
Ако ти повече се интересуваш от това да бъдеш излъган, тогава ще намериш лъжец, който да те измами.
But if you are sincerely seeking the highest truth,
Но ако ти искрено търсиш най-висшето знание, най-висшата истина,
Krishna within your heart will bring you into contact with a bona fide spiritual master who will give you, enlighten you in the highest truth.
Кришна отвътре от сърцето, той ще направи аранжимент да се срещнеш с истински духовен учител, който ще ти даде най-висшето.
So the real answer is your sincerity.
Така че, в крайна сметка, отговор е твоята искреност.
You have to desire to realize the highest truth.
Трябва да имаш силно желание да разбереш истинската.
Then God within you, He will guide you to the right place where you'll get it.
И Бога отвътре от сърцето ще те води до правилното място, където да намериш това знание.
That's one test.
Това е първият тест.
The other test is this.
Вторият тест е следният.
Krishna is the supreme authority.
Кришна е върховният авторитет.
Bhagavad Gita is the highest truth.
А Бхагавад Гита дава най-висшата истина.
So and that's confirmed by all the great sages.
И това е потвърдено от всички велики мъдреци от миналото.
This is described in chapter 10, texts 12 and 13 of the Bhagavad Gita.
Това е потвърдено в глава 10, текстове 12 и 13 от Бхагавад Гита.
Arjuna is speaking to Krishna.
Арджуна казва на Кришна:
Parang Brahma, Parang Dhamma, Pavitram Paramang Bhavam, Purusham Shashvatam Divyam Adivedam Majang Vibhum. Let's see, what is it? Ahu, huh?
Аху яс ришея сърве.
Ahu Yas.
Сърве.
So, Devarsho Naradastata Asita Devalavyasa Svayam Chaiva Varishime. Krishna is being told by Arjuna, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You are the ultimate above.
Арджуна казва за Кришна: ти си върховната божествена личност, ти си най-висшата обител,
You're the highest truth.
ти си най-висшата истина,
You're the original, eternal, transcendental person.
ти си изначалната трансцендентална личност,
You are the unborn. You are the greatest.
ти си нероден, ти си най-великият.
He says all the great sages have confirmed this truth about you.
И той казва: всички най-велики авторитети казват това за теб.
The liberated spaceman Narada Muni is confirmed.
Нарада Муни казва, че ти си върховният.
Srila Vyasadeva is confirmed.
Вясадев,
Asita, Devala, all the great sages have confirmed this truth,
всички велики мъдреци потвърждават това, което,
that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
че ти си върховната божествена личност.
And then Arjuna says, and now, my Lord, you're revealing it to me also here on this battlefield.
И Арджуна тогава казва: а сега ти лично ми го разкриваш също така.
Do you have a copy of the Bhagavad Gita? No, we need to get, you have to have Bhagavad Gitas here.
Трябва.
They're sold out in Bulgarian?
О, he has but other edition, not our edition.
He has as it is?
He has other edition, not as it is.
Oh, that's the problem. You need to get Bhagavad Gita as it is.
Трябва да имаш
Yeah.
тази Бхагавад Гита, as it is.
We need to get these books available. But actually we have Bhagavatam. You can read the Bhagavatam. Hold up the Bhagavatam, Devi.
Също ние имаме тази друга.
Yeah, there's Bhagavatam. We have some other books that have the same teaching.
Същото
You get some, at least one of our, you can do the same thing, ma'am. You can get one of these hardbound Bhagavatams. That will give you the same knowledge.
може да си вземете вместо Бхагавад Гита на първо време Бхагаватам.
So by studying these teachings coming from a, yes, see that book, that's the one we recommend, that blue one.
Ето тази книга, ако може да я вземете.
That will give you the same knowledge as the Gita.
Тази книга ще ви даде същото знание, което дава и Бхагавад Гита.
That's called Bhagavatam.
Бхагаватам.
So if you study this knowledge from coming from a great realized spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada,
Така че ако ти изучаваш това знание от
you will get knowledge awakened from within your heart.
тогава лека по лека ти ще усещаш, че знанието ще
We don't want you to blindly take this.
появява в твоето сърце. Не искаме сляпо да приемаш това.
By following this process, you will get your own personal realization within your heart.
Следвайки процеса и изучавайки процеса, ти ще започнеш да получаваш твои лични реализации.
You realize in your own heart that this is the highest truth.
Лека по лека вътре в твоето сърце ти ще разбереш как това е крайната истина.
And then you know you're not being cheated.
И тогава ти ще знаеш, аз не съм излъган.
Because you realize it within your own heart.
Защото ти лично го реализираш за себе си, че това е истина.
So does that answer your question?
Дали това отговаря на въпросите?
Hare Krishna. So any other question?
Някой има ли други въпроси?
Yes.
Аз искам да попитам, понеже сте Санкаршан, говорихме за мотивацията за отдаване на предано служение. Понякога човек има мотивация да отдава предано служение, защото знае, че това е добре за него духовен живот. Дали тази мотивация е грешна? Не е от чиста любов към Кришна, просто знаем, че това е добре за него.
Good boy. Sit like yogi. Very good. Yeah. Okay, what's the question?
In the morning you were speaking about the motivation.
Motivation?
Yes,
Yeah.
you were speaking in the lecture. So he is asking, sometimes we are doing different spiritual activities with the motivation, I know this is good for my spiritual life. It's not with the motivation, it's good for Krishna, but it's for me. It's good for my spiritual advancement. Is this a good motivation?
To engage in pure devotional service is good for you.
Да се ангажира в чисто правно служение е добре за теб.
That's all right.
Това е окей.
Krishna consciousness is your highest self-interest.
Кришна съзнание е най-висшия личен интерес.
It's okay to work for yourself,
Добре е да работиш по този начин,
but do it properly.
но по правилен начин.
The fact is, the best service you can do to yourself is become Krishna conscious.
Всъщност най-доброто нещо, което можеш да направиш за себе си, е да станеш Кришна.
The very best service that you can render to yourself is to surrender to Krishna.
Най-доброто нещо, което можеш да направиш за себе си, е да се отдадеш на Кришна.
So, we want you to do the best service to yourself
Така че ние искаме ти да направиш най-доброто за себе си,
by surrendering to Krishna.
като се отдадеш на Кришна.
Okay? Any other questions? Yeah.
Имам практичен въпрос. Когато синовете ми бяха малки, те видимо бяха ентусиазирани. Когато пораснаха на 16 години, вече всеки проявява свой личен вкус към живота. В каква степен аз трябва да съм твърд с тях, нали, лично съзнание, защото усещам, че ако съм твърд, те ще реагират обратно. Значи си друг късо.
Да си твърд сега, когато вече са големи, или
Да,
преди
като са големи сега.
It's a very practical question because he has many children, like 4 sons.
Four sons?
4 sons.
Oh, very good.
No way.
Yeah.
So he is saying, when they were small, they were naturally very enthusiastic about Krishna consciousness. But now they are getting bigger.
Teenagers?
Yeah, like teenagers. So they are slowly they start to show up their own individuality. So it's not always connected with Krishna consciousness. So his question is, to what extent he has to be hard with them, to push them to practice Krishna consciousness?
Well, to what extent do you discipline teenagers to try to force them to practice Krishna consciousness? As much as you can get away with,
Колкото може.
which isn't much.
Което обаче не е много.
The real thing is you have to become a pure devotee.
Всъщност основното нещо ти самия трябва да
So they're inspired by your example.
много напреднал, защото те ще бъдат ентусиазирани, виждайки.
When they're small children, you can force them, but once they're teenagers,
Малките
can't
деца
force them.
ти можеш да окажеш някакъв натиск върху тях, но веднъж станат ли тинейджери,
You have to show a very good example. Like this boy, I'm forcing him. He's a little kid. Let him sit like a yogi. Don't hold him in the lap. He needs to grow up. He's not a baby anymore. He should sit like a yogi. Don't let him lay around and do all this weird stuff. He should sit like a yogi. See, I can force him, and he doesn't mind. He feels happy I'm paying attention to him, you see. He's a teenager and I do that, if he get really, Kelly storm out of the room in an angry fit. So while he's a little boy, I say, you must sit like a yogi. You sit with a straight back. You see. Sit nicely like a yogi. Yeah. And hear nicely. You see. So when they're small, you have to train them to be very obedient. They don't dare disobey you. But once they're teenagers, you have to just be friends with them, to where they want to take instructions from you. The trouble is that all their peers are telling them, their teenage friends, they all talk against the parents. Amongst teenagers, it's considered cool to be disobedient to your parents. You have to make them, they have to respect you as the greatest authority they know. To where they want to follow your instructions, they desire to do that. You have to deal them in such a merciful and at the same time strong way that they're inspired to follow you. Bhagavad Gita 3:21. Yad yad acharati shreshtas tattare vetsaro jana sayad pramanam kurute lokastadana vartate. Whatever a great man does, the common people follow him in his footsteps. Whatever standard he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. Whatever a great man does, his teenage sons follow in his footsteps. Whatever standard he sets by exemplary acts, his teenage sons follow. You have to become a powerful Vaishnava, Prabhu. You have to develop the qualities of an Acharya. I'm not joking, I'm serious. You have to develop the qualities of an Acharya, so those boys will be very inspired by, oh, my father is so great. He's the greatest man I've ever met. I must follow him. This way you must inspire them. You can't force, but you can inspire them, just like these cartels here, you see. Can I push with this cord? No. I try to push the cartels, nothing happens. Everybody can see. I'm trying to push them and nothing happens. They don't go anywhere. They don't follow my pushing at all. When I pull them, immediately they follow. So don't push your sons. You pull them by Vaishnava qualities. That way they'll follow you. These little ones we can push. Why are you not sitting like a yogi? Sit like a yogi. Yeah. You see, I can push him, but in a teenage would never do them. You see. Yes.
On the same note, can we take advice from other perhaps more successful fathers that have attained some relationship with their sons? Is that also?
Yes. He's asking, can we take advice from other fathers? Of course.
Същата връзка, Раджа Кришна задава въпрос, може ли да се получим от други бащи, които са успешни, имат добри отношения с синовете си?
Well, I've seen practically, like I have one of my disciples, he's raising a son. And the secret is you engage those boys in doing devotional service along with you. That's the secret.
Трябва да се получим. Например, аз имам един такъв мой ученик, той има такъв син. И тайната е, че ние трябва да ангажираме тези деца да правим заедно предано служение.
A small child will naturally like to be with his parents. A small child. For a little boy, the father is a great hero. So you should always, when they're small, you keep those children with you and you do bhakti and they do bhakti with you. Whatever you do, you're always doing bhakti and they're doing it with you. You're a bhakti team. You're always doing bhakti together. That creates a very strong bhakti bond between the father and the sons. You have to create a bhakti bond when they're small. That way they'll always be with you through the whole life. They'll always follow you. Now, if you didn't do that, maybe you weren't even devotee when, I don't know before, but now it's, you do the best you can. That's all you can do. Do we have any role models here in Bulgaria of fathers whose children are very Krishna conscious? Kripa Siddha is a pretty good example. Kripa Siddha is pretty good. Huh? Narada Muni's son? Huh? Not so fixed up, yeah. Not, huh? Louder, please. That's a good example. They've taken him to Mayapur to go to the Gurukula then. Yes.
Can we take example from Mahatma Gandhi?
Mahatma Gandhi, can we take example from Mahatma Gandhi? Prabhupada, in some ways yes, and in some ways no. Srila Prabhupada was, before he became a disciple of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, was a follower of Gandhi. On the social economic level, Gandhi had a lot of really good ideas. He saw how the British were destroying India by luring the villagers into the city to work in the factories. So he was in favor of going back to the villages. And not being dependent on heavy industry. But unfortunately, his followers, who then took over India after he was killed, they went just the opposite direction. They industrialized India like anything. They weren't so pure as Gandhi. They're very interested in money and power. On the spiritual level, Gandhi wasn't fully there. He didn't believe that Krishna was a real person. He took the Bhagavad Gita as mythology. So on the material level, in terms of getting back to a more natural village lifestyle, Gandhi was very good. But in terms of spiritual philosophy, he wasn't properly situated. His whole thing was get rid of the British, get rid of the British.
Цялата негова пропаганда всъщност е била да се отървем.
But that's bodily consciousness.
Но това е напълно материално съзнание.
The spirit soul is neither British nor Indian.
Духовното същество не е нито британец, нито индиец.
His whole movement was to get rid of the British, but that's bodily consciousness.
Цялото му движение е било да се отървем от британците, но това си е телесно съзнание.
After he drove the British out of India, Prabhupada wrote him a letter and advised him, now you should preach Bhagavad Gita.
След като той отблъснал британците извън Индия, Шрила Прабхупада му написал писмо.
But he probably never saw that letter because he had so many volumes of correspondence.
Сега трябва да започнеш да проповядаш Бхагавад Гита, но най-вероятно той никога това писмо не е стигнало до него.
Prabhupada actually warned him that that something may happen to you, you should do this now. And it did. He was assassinated.
Също Шрила Прабхупада го е предупредил в писмото си, той му написал, може нещо да се случи, затова не си го бива.
By a Hindu
Трябва да проповядаш Бхагавад Гита.
who was disturbed he was making too many concessions to the Muslims.
Sorry?
Too many concessions to the Muslims. Gandhi, he was angry that Gandhi was giving too much to the Muslims.
Шрила Прабхупада той не харесва това, че Ганди той дал прекалено много на мюсюлманите.
So his movement was a failure in many ways.
Така че от много гледни точки неговото движение имало провал.
He wanted Hindu-Muslim unity.
Той искал съюз между хиндус и мюсюлмани.
And that did not happen. India was divided out. That was one country. Now Pakistan and Bangladesh, that was all India.
И това обаче не е станало. Едно време всичко това било една страна, а сега Бангладеш и Пакистан.
That was chopped off of India. India was reduced by a huge amount.
Това е било отрязано от Индия. Всъщност Индия сега е много намалена като размер.
In many ways, Gandhi was a failure.
Така че от много гледни точки Ганди той не е успел.
In many, even though the British were exploiting the Indian people, still in many ways life was better under British rule than after they left.
Например, въпреки че британците са експлоатирали хората, от много гледни точки живота е бил по-добър, отколкото след това.
The first time they were holding the elections in India, some villagers said, if we vote for the British, will they come back?
Първият път, когато е имало избори, след като са били освободени индийците, един селянин е казал, ако ние гласуваме за британците...
So India has not, they have suffered in many ways after independence.
Така че от много гледни точки Индия е страдала след освобождението.
Especially this Hindu-Muslim rivalry has become just horrible.
Особено тези отношения между мюсюлмани.
That was not going on very much during British rule.
Това е било ужасно. А това не е
Very minor thing.
по времето на управлението на британците.
But now it's become a major problem.
А сега е станало много голям проблем.
Recently, the terrorists, the Muslim terrorists, did an explosion at the Supreme Court in Delhi, killing so many people just a few days ago.
Наскоро някакви мюсюлмани терористи са направили имало голям атентат в главния съд в Делхи и имало толкова много.
So Gandhi's idea of Hindu-Muslim unity was not on the spiritual platform. That's why it failed.
И понеже идеята на Ганди за това да има съюз между индийци и мюсюлмани не е било на духовна платформа, затова се провалило.
It is said that Gandhi is a saint. The governor of Bengal, he said that Gandhi is a saint amongst the politicians.
Главната личност в Бенгал, той казал, че Ганди той е светец, но между политиците.
And amongst the saint, he's a saint amongst the politicians and a politician amongst the saints.
Той е светец между политиците и политик между светците.
So if you take all the politicians, then Gandhi looks like a saint.
Така че ако вземеш политиците, в сравнение с тях Ганди изглежда като светец.
But if you consider all the sadhus of India, then Gandhi just looks like a politician.
Но ако разгледаш от гледна точка на светците в Индия, той изглежда като политик.
So we'll stop here.
Така че
And we thank you all very much for your participation in this Krishna consciousness. You have one? All right, this is the last one.
още един въпрос.
Ако оскърбим някоя бакта, някой ние не мислим, че сме го оскърбили, но те се чувстват така. Как трябва да постъпим? Те се чувстват оскърбени, но ние мислим, че не сме го оскърбили.
А ние усещаме ли това по някакъв начин? Знаем ли?
Не. Просто не чувстваме, че ние сме направили нещо.
Sit nicely.
Вината е от тях.
Yes.
Question is, if unintentionally we offended some Kanishta Vaishnava.
If unintentionally we offended?
Yeah, we don't know that we offended, but we...
Oh, without knowing it.
Yeah, some devotee. So, what we have to do in this regard?
So how do you know if you did it or not?
Feel that we have offended them, but they feel...
Okay, we don't feel that we offended someone,
Mm-hmm.
but they feel offended.
Well, it's very easy, Prabhu.
Много просто.
You just say, if I have offended you, please forgive me.
Трябва да кажем, ако смяташ, че съм те оскърбил,
You're not admitting your guilt, but you're saying, if I offended you, then please forgive me.
това не означава, че си виновен, но ти казваш, ако съм виновен, моля да простим.
The word if is a very good word to use.
Тази дума, ако...
You're not admitting guilt, but you're saying, well, if Krishna can see that I offended you, I don't think I did, but if I did, you don't say all that, but you say, if I offended you, Prabhu, please forgive me.
Тази дума, ако е много важна. Ти казваш, ако Кришна вижда, че аз съм те оскърбил, аз не смятам, че съм те оскърбил, но ако Кришна мисли така, прости ме.
Okay, so we thank you all very much.
Много ви благодарим.
Please take this process very seriously.
Приемете този процес много сериозно
Make your life perfect.
и направете живота си съвършен.
You were not meant to suffer in this material existence.
Вие не сте предназначени да страдате.
Chant Hare Krishna and be happy.
Повтаряйте Харе Кришна и бъдете щастливи.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Now we're having a special program. Anybody who takes a book today, I will give you a signed blessing in your book.
Сега имаме специална програма. Всеки, който
The book table is right there,
някоя книжка, аз лично ще му дам.
and I'm right here, and I have a pen.
Аз съм тук и имам химикалка. Всеки, който иска